So we will continue discussing the thermal stresses. Okay, so now I'm going to consider composite bars. Okay, so in composite bars there are two different cases. So first case is two bars which is placed like this. Okay, it's something like a compound bars. Okay, so one bar which is placed over another bar, and again the assumption which we are going to follow here is these two bars are sticking with each other perfectly. There is no possibility for relative motion between them. Okay, so that is the thing, right? We already discussed about this case when we are discussing axial loading, but here it is thermal stress, which means I'm going to raise the temperature by delta T, and let me assume the first member is having different thermal thermal expansion coefficient, and second member is having different thermal expansion coefficient. So alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2. Let me assume. Okay, let me take alpha 1, thermal expansion coefficient of 1 is greater than thermal expansion coefficient of 2. Okay, before entering into composite bars, let us consider like this. I'm taking bar 2 and I'm keeping bar 1 and I'm increasing the temperature. It is not sticking with each other perfectly. Just assumption, it is not. If it is not sticking with each other perfectly, then what will happen? Alpha 1 is greater than that of alpha 2, right? So first member's thermal expansion coefficient is greater than second member's thermal expansion coefficient. So it is very clear that first member is going to expand more compared with second member. Second member is going to expand less. What is the reason? Second member's thermal expansion coefficient is less. Both of them are having same length, and both of them I am rising same temperature. I know that delta is equal to alpha delta T L. Delta T is same, length is same, so delta directly varies with alpha. If alpha increases, if alpha is more, it's going to have more deformation. If alpha is less, it's going to have less deformation. Here I am assuming that 1 and 2 it can move relatively. Okay, it can move relatively. That is my assumption. One kind of thing which I am taking. Okay. Now this deformation is for the member 2, right? So that is how much the value? Alpha delta T, alpha 2 delta T L. If I take length of both are same, and this is alpha delta T, alpha 1 delta T L. Okay, so this is the case when member 1 and member 2 are not sticking with each other perfectly. If they are sticking with each other perfectly, if there was a perfect bonding between 1 and 2, then there is no possibility for this relative motion. What actually it means? Listen to me carefully. First member has more capacity, that is, it is having higher capacity to deform. Second member having lesser compared to first member, which means if I increase the temperature, for example, I am increasing temperature by 10 degree, first member will try to deform more, but second member will try to deform less. One thing to note, since both of them are attached together, there cannot be relative motion. If first member tries to move forward, what will happen? It will try to take second member with itself, but second member is having lesser deformation. So this second member is not going to allow the first member to deform freely. So in fact, what is actually happening? See, if both of them are attached together properly, then first member will try to move, like it will try to deform more. Second member, after deforming this much, it's going to resist, or it's going to pull this first member back. Okay, first member will try to pull the second member in this side, right side, and second member will try to pull the first member back side, right? So what is in fact happening? This first member, which is having more alpha 1, will be subjected to a compressive loading. Okay, and that compressive loading will be due to member 2, because member 2 is deforming less. Since it is deforming less, it is trying to pull the first member back. Okay, but first member deflection is alpha 1 delta TL, which is greater than that of second member, right? So what will happen? This first member will try to pull the second member this side, so there will be tensile stress in second member. So this P1 is nothing but stress, compressive stress in first member due to second member. This tensile stress is tensile load is nothing but tensile load in second member due to first member. Okay, so in fact, the first member, if I allow freely, it will deform this much amount. Second member, if I allow freely, it will deform this much amount. But they are attached together. So what will happen? This second member will go some extra. Due to this tensile load offered by first member, and this first member will compress a little due to this compression offered by second member. So finally, this will be the net deflection, or this will be the final deflection of both member 1 and 2. So member 1 will deform to an amount of delta 1, member 2 will deform to an amount of delta 2, and both will be same. What actually happened? This member 1 is compressed. Okay, so this much amount is compressed, and why it is getting compressed? Due to member 2. Member 2 is offering a compressive load on member 1, and member 2 is deformed extra. There was some extra deformation, there was some extra expansion, and that is happening due to a load offered by 1 on 2. Finally, the deflection of 1 and 2 will be same. So I hope it is clear, right? Now, so we need two equations now. The reason is, for solving this, we need to have two equations for solving this completely. And what are those two equations? First equation. One thing you need to be very clear: the net force which is acting, or I can say that the net external force which is acting on the total member. You just consider this 1, 2 completely. Net external force other than this 2, okay, other than P1 and P2, was there any other external force? There is no other external force, which means P1 should be equal to P2. Because if P1 is not equal to P2, what will happen? If suppose P1 is greater than P2, what will happen? If P1 is greater than P2, then this will start moving this side, right? It will start moving left side. Or if P2 is greater than P1, what will happen? This will start moving right side. So that cannot happen, because there is no other external force other than these two forces. Other than these two forces, there is no other external forces, which means this should be equal to this, then only it will be in equilibrium. If this is greater than, if P1 is greater than P2, you can consider like this, okay? So if P1, okay, compressive load offered on the first member is greater than second member, then this will be moving like this. Or else if tensile load acting on second member is greater than compressive on first member, this will be moving this side. So which clearly says that is not possible, because it is in equilibrium. So for maintaining equilibrium condition, this P1 should be equal to P2. So that is the first equation. P1 is equal to P2 in the sense, stress in the first member. How to write stress in the first member? Stress in the first member is nothing but P1 by A1, and stress in the second member is nothing but P2 by A2, so which implies P1 is equal to sigma 1 into A1, P2 is equal to sigma 2 into A2. So P1 is sigma 1 A1, P2 is sigma 2 A2, so sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2. That is the first equation which I am getting, right? And what type of stresses will be there in first member? See, first member is having higher thermal conductivity, higher thermal expansion coefficient. The first member which is having more thermal expansion coefficient is subjected to compressive stress, and the member which is having less thermal expansion coefficient is subjected to tensile stress. You need to remember that clearly. So alpha 1 is greater than alpha 2. So first member compressive, and second member alpha 2 is less than alpha 1, so second member is subjected to tensile loading case, okay, right? So that is one. And what about the second thing which we need to note here? The second thing is, the second equation which I have is delta 1 is equal to delta 2. Deflection of 1 and deflection of 2 are same, which means delta 1 is equal to delta 2. And what are all the net deflection happening in 1? See, net deflection, free expansion. If I left it freely, it would have expanded by an amount of alpha 1 delta T L, okay, but this much, okay, so if I left it, it would have expanded by this much amount, right? It would have expanded by this much amount, but due to compressive load P1, it's getting compressed by this much amount. So minus P1, okay, minus P1 L by A1 into E1. Let me take that this member's Young's modulus is E1, this member's Young's modulus is E2. So net deflection in member 1, freely it will expand this much amount, but due to this compressive load, this much amount is getting compressed. So this is the net deflection, right? This is the net deflection. That net deflection is nothing but free expansion, this much alpha 1 delta T minus this much compressive, like this much is getting compressed. So alpha 1 delta T L minus P1 L by A1 into E1. Okay, so that is equal to, what about a delta 2? See, that is also very simple. Delta 2, if I allow it freely, it will expand this much amount, this much. It will expand this much amount. So this much it can expand freely by using alpha 2 delta T L. Okay. But there was this much extra, okay, this much extra deflection is happening, and that extra deflection is happening due to this tensile load. Okay, so this is freely expansion plus an extra deflection happening, and that extra deflection, right? So this is totally alpha 1 delta T, alpha 2 delta T, sorry, alpha 2 delta T L plus this much amount of deflection gives me total deflection delta 2. So alpha 2 delta T L is nothing but deflection due to free expansion plus this deflection due to tensile load. So alpha 2 delta T L plus deflection due to this tensile load P2. So P2 L by A2 into E2. So if you want, you can rearrange it and you can find the like if whatever you want. We have two equations now, right? So this equation P1 by A1 is nothing but sigma 1, P2 by A2 is nothing but sigma 2. If you want, you can write it like that. So alpha 2 delta T L plus sigma 2 L by E2. And everywhere L is same, so I can cancel all the L's, right? Now this is one equation, equation number 2. This is first equation, this is second equation. Now if you know all other datas, I can find from these two equations, I can find sigma 1 and sigma 2, okay? And this sigma 1, that is stress which is developed in first member, is compressive stress because of thermal expansion coefficient of first member is more than that of second member. So the member which is having more thermal expansion coefficient will be subjected to compressive stress. The member which is having less thermal expansion coefficient will be subjected to tensile stress. Let us take second case in composite bars. Okay, so in the second case in composite bars, this first member is having length L1, thermal expansion coefficient is alpha 1, Young's modulus is E1. Similarly, this member's length is L2, thermal expansion coefficient is alpha 2, Young's modulus is E2. Cross section area is A1, cross section area of this is A2. If I increase the temperature by delta T, okay, what will happen? Very simple. This two side is going to offer a resistance, right? So here it's going to offer a reaction force and here it's going to offer reaction force, and let me take the reaction forces R. This is something similar to that of the case which we discussed already. Okay, so in case of axial loading case, if this side member is subjected to load R, then member 2 will be having a compressive load of R. Similarly, member 1 will also be having the same load R only. So stress sigma 1, stress developed in first member is nothing but R by area A1, okay, which implies R is equal to sigma 1 into A. Similarly, stress developed in second member is R by A2, which implies R is equal to sigma 2 into A2. And by equating this two, since the reaction forces are same, by equating this two, I will get sigma 1 A1 is equal to sigma 2 A2. This is our first equation. Okay. Now, as usual, here also I need to find the stress. First equation is determined. What will be the second equation? See, if the temperature is increased by an amount of delta T, if the temperature is increased by an amount of delta T, what will be the free expansion? If there is no restriction, okay, if there is no restriction, this member is going to expand freely, this member is also going to expand freely, and what will be that value if there is no restriction? That value will be equal to alpha 1 delta T L1 plus alpha 2 delta T L2. Is it right? So free expansion of 1 plus expansion of 2, that is alpha 1 delta T L1 plus alpha 2 delta T L2. but this free expansion is restricted. It is getting restricted by using a reaction force here. This reaction force is restricting it, right? So if there was a reaction force which is restricting it, the restriction, the total restriction, this is something like delta T, and the deflection restricted will be equal to how much it is getting how much the deflection is getting restricted. Due to this axial load, due to this load R, there was some restriction, and due to this load R, there was some restriction, a compressive load, right? So total free expansion is getting restricted. How can I write that? P1 is nothing but R, right? So R L1 by A1 E1 plus R L2 by A2 E2. Simply, if there is no restriction, it will freely expand. First member, second member freely expand, and that expansion value is equal to alpha 1 delta T L1 plus alpha 2 delta T L2. But I'm keeping a restriction here. Due to this restriction, this member is not expanding freely. There was some restriction, that is, there was some compressive deflections. Similarly, this member 2 is also getting compressed a little, and that total restriction is nothing but, this is similar PL by AE, right? That concept only, R L1 by A1 E1 plus R L2 by A2 A2. R L1 by A1 E1 is nothing but the restricted amount of deflection in first member. R L2 by A2 E2 is nothing but restricted amount of deflection in the second member. If I add totally, I will get total restriction. And we know very clearly this delta T should be equal to delta R. Delta T is nothing but total expansion. That total expansion is equal to the total restriction. So freely how much it is getting expanded, that much expansion is getting restricted. So net deflection is 0. Okay, so if you want in another manner, I can write something like this: delta T plus minus delta R is equal to 0, whatever we discussed in the first case. Right, so we are again coming back to the second case only. Okay, so delta T is alpha 1 delta T L1 plus alpha 2 delta T L2, which is equal to R L1 by A1 E1 plus R L2 by A2 E2. So this is the second one, and this is the first one. Okay, so it's pretty much easy. Okay, so you can I hope that you can cope up with this. So this ends our discussion on thermal stresses. So we will do some 1 or 2 problems. Actually, the problems are also not at all required for us. The reason is I already discussed all the cases. All different cases has been discussed. If they are going to ask problems, what they will do, they will give some values and they will ask you to directly substitute in the cases only. Okay, so let us do some 1 or 2 problems so that it will make you to understand how to solve the numericals also. Okay.